Well, hello, my fellow viewers. JRV96 here, bringing you a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video in which I am continuing my General Aviation Airport Spotlight series. Now, in the last episode, I visited Falwell Airport in Virginia, which had a sloping runway. Now, in this episode, I'm heading down to the Caribbean where we're going to visit Benjamin Rivera Noriega Airport, which is a small, uncontrolled airport located in Culebra Island in Puerto Rico. So, if you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe to this channel where I'll be posting both P3D version 5 and Flight Simulator 2020 content. Usually I try to upload a video every weekend or so that way you can catch up with what I am up to. Now, Benjamin Rivera Noriega Airport has a very interesting approach in which basically it serves as a precursor, or let alone it serves as an alternate airport to St. Barts, the airport that we all know of. Now, to approach this airport, basically you have to land on runway 13, in which there is a hill that you have to fly through. So, looking at the camera right there, this is the hill that you have to fly through in order to get to this airport. So you would approach the island from the north, follow what appears to be this lake, and then basically you're going to fly along this hill, and then at this point right here, with about a half a mile to spare, you would have to make a left turn to immediately line yourself up with the runway where you're going to touch down. If you think the approach is challenging, wait until you see how long the runway actually is. It's only 2,600 feet. So with that being said, there's very little room for error when it comes to making such a difficult approach. Now, to make things a little bit more challenging, I'm going to take the Beech Baron in this recording, unlike using the Cessna 152 as I've used in the previous videos. So, with that being said, we're going to go right into the cockpit. So here I am, I'm in the Beech Baron. As you can see, Culebra Island is in front of us and slightly off to our right, in which you're not going to be able to see the airport until pretty much the last second. So in order to approach this airport, there's a beachhead that's pretty much hidden between this hill, in which once when I have the airplane trimmed out, I'll be able to show it to you. So basically there's a beachhead that's hidden behind this hill, and then there's a small lake that we have to fly through, in which essentially we have to fly through this ravine in order to land at this airport. So you want to be on point airspeed wise and altitude, because any slight error when you're coming into this airport, you have no other choice but to go around and try it again. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to do a descent. In that case, do my gumps check. So gas on the fullest tank. Well, in this case, gas. We got fuel selectors both right here. Undercarriage, I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear to help me slow the airplane down. And then we're going to go mixtures full ridge, bring the props full forward. And then we'll go ahead and at least turn the fuel pumps on for now. Alright, so as you can see, we're continuing our descent. And we're at 125 knots, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw in flaps approach. Ideally, approach speed in this airplane is around 95 to 100 knots. So again, you have to be on point in terms of airspeed and altitude in order to make this approach work. Alright, so now, as you can see, we're flying through this beachhead along with the lake. It's going to keep the power relatively constant where it's at. I'm a little fast airspeed wise, so what I'm going to do is drop the last set of flaps to help me slow down even more. And as you can see, that made a difference right here. So now we got to fly through this ravine in order to get to the airport. Now I'm losing speed, so I need some more power. And then pretty much you'll see why in just a few seconds this is a difficult airport to come in. Wow, that is really something right there, I'll tell you that. So as you can see, that's how the approach to Culebra Island. Even though the touchdown was okay, didn't really like the fact that I jerked the rudders around too much, but still, it is a good landing regardless. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring the flaps back up, and then what I will do is taxi to the beginning of the runway, do one lap of the traffic pattern at this airport where it's going to be modified for obvious reasons, as you can see right here. So as you can see, had to utilize the rudders last second in order to keep the airplane on the center line. And again, one of my biggest gripes with Flight Simulator 2020 is how extremely sensitive the controls are, in which there is no way whatsoever it is a realistic interpretation of the actual Baron in real life. So as you saw right there, you literally have to bank the airplane last second in order to make the runway, because if you don't act accordingly right away, you may not be able to land the airplane safely. So now what I'm doing is I'm taxiing the airplane to the runway, and I'm going to be doing what appears to be a short field takeoff, in which this is a 2,600 foot long runway. Now for multis, ideally whenever you take off in the twin, you always want to pitch for a blue line, which is this line on the airspeed indicator. So the ideal airspeed you want to be able to climb is 105 knots until you reach a safe enough altitude. So that way, in case if one engine fails, you'll have enough altitude to maybe return back to the airport if you can. So now we're taxiing to the runway as we speak, and I'm going to use up as much runway as I can, so that way I'm able to get off the runway as soon as possible. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. And I'm just going to advance roughly about 90% power, so that way I don't overspeed the props. Alright. Got engine gauges all in the green. Alright, airspeed's aligned. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate. No more runway left, so the gear's coming up right away.
Don't sink, 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 don't sink.
And I'm going to be pitching for about 100 knots on the climb.
Don't sink, 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 don't sink.
Alright, now I've reached a safe enough altitude right there, so I'm going to lower the nose. And you got to be careful when you're flying the Baron, because even at 85 to 90% power, the props overspeed very easily in this airplane, which explains why there's like a red number under the engine RPM, which is not good for the engine. Now, in the meantime, what I'm going to do, as I brought the prop back, I'm going to go ahead and start making my crosswind turn. And I'm going to go ahead and level off at 1,500 feet. left crossing for runway 13. So as you can see, this airplane literally gets up and go, in which I have enough speed in a way that this pattern isn't going to last that long anyways. Now, as I turn downwind, I will no longer have the airport in sight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the beach up the coastline until I reach the beachhead, as you saw earlier, in order to fly into this airport. All right, now there's 1,500 feet. And now we're on the now we're on the downwind, runway 13. So as you can see, this airplane really flies pretty fast, in which eventually I'm in no rush to slow the airplane down, in which I'll have plenty of time to do so before I reach this beachhead. Now there's the beachhead behind this hill right there. So what I'm going to do to modify the pattern, I'm going to turn the airplane to the right just a bit, so that way my left wing is abeam the beachhead that you just saw. So that's going to put me roughly on a northerly heading. So now what I'll do is I'll briefly run through my gumps. So gas, undercarriage, gears coming down, mixtures full ridge, props full forward, and switches are on. So now I should get 3 indications. Outside, the gear is down. And now I'm going to go ahead and start my base turn, whereas at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and descent as well. Now I got to pull back on the power again. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn towards the beachhead. Now I'm going to throw flaps approach to help me slow down. And at the same time, let's lose some of that altitude. As you can see, I'm coming in rather pretty fast. Just pull back on the power right here. Go flaps low, and at the same time add some power in order to hold 100 knots while continuing my descent. So now you'll get to see what it's like to approach the airport once again. Now this is what I call a really difficult approach to the airport. What an approach. So now I'm going to go ahead and exit the runway, make the right turn right here. And that is Benjamin Rivera Noriega Airport in Puerto Rico. Probably one of the more underrated, difficult approaches to fly into the Caribbean. And if you're used to flying into St. Barts a lot, I would definitely recommend you fly into this airport right there, especially with a high performance airplane like the Beech Baron, you're going to be in for a challenge when you fly to this airport. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to taxi the airplane to the ramp, shut the airplane down, and that's going to be the end of this video. But pretty much the trick with this airport right there is, especially with the fact that one of my biggest gripes with FS2020 is how sensitive the controls are, is that you have to be very gentle with the controls, especially when you make that sharp left turn towards the very end. So this is where it could get people quite a lot right here as well, in which if you're not on point in terms of airspeed or altitude, then you're going to mess up this approach. And honestly, if Microsoft is looking for more airports to feature in their landing challenges as part of their simulator, I would say they should definitely feature this airport as a landing challenge for sure. With the amount of difficulty on the approach combined with the fact that you have a short runway right there, makes this airport very challenging, which is why immediately after I touched down, I had to apply the brakes right away. Now, you don't want to eat up a lot of runway either, because with a 2,600 foot long runway, chances are you may not even have enough runway to stop. That is why it is very difficult airport to land. So now in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the airplane down. So I'll go ahead and turn the avionics off, bring the mixtures all the way back. And for some reason it goes to the logbook page, which I don't want that. And then we'll go ahead and turn the mags off, turn the alternators off, battery off, and that is it. Well then, my fellow viewers, that concludes the end of this video. Now, if you enjoyed this video or if you enjoyed my content, feel free to hit the like button and feel free to hit the subscribe button, JRV96, where I will be uploading P3D and Flight Simulator 2020 videos every weekend. So this is a continuation of a general aviation airport series where I'm going to visit some of the lesser known, challenging airports for you viewers to try out in this new simulator. Now, pretty much, I'm going to continue forward with this general aviation series in which I'll produce more episodes of that, and then also I'll be producing more P3D videos as I come along. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.